Hello, everyone. Welcome to another BDPA Tech and Career Talk. I am your Tech and Career Talk leader, Devin Jenkins. Serve as a commercial IT business partner at GE Healthcare, and I'm also the founder and CEO of Share the Vibes LLC. I reside in Charlotte, North Carolina. But glad to have you joining us from wherever you're joining us from. We have people all over watching us live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube right now. Maybe you're watching the replay on YouTube or wherever you found this at. But wherever you're at, like, share, subscribe. Comment below, click that bell so you know when we post, and share this with someone who you know needs to hear the conversation. This is all about sharing love, sharing information, and spreading the wealth. So make sure you do that. Don't be stingy. Share this with somebody who needs to hear it because you know someone who needs to hear it. So we're excited for today's conversation. Before we jump in, I always like to give a little bit of context around BDPA, who we are, and what this Technical Career Talk platform is, what it's all about. Just in case you're new here. So you know what you're getting into, and you can tell others about it as well. So BDPA was founded in 1975 as Black Data Processing Associates. This is an organization that was started with the purpose of building the African American talent pipeline in the technology industry. So we still do that today. We have a focus on developing computer skills, technology skills, just even the softer skills needed for professional development and successful careers with youth starting as early as elementary level. Even we had a third grader win a robotics competition this year at our conference. So young people, getting them the skills, the introduction, that exposure early. And then BDPA evolves you into the collegiate level as well as the professional realm. So regardless of where you're at, whether you're trying to get into tech or you're someone who's been in tech 30 years or you're retired, BDPA is a way for you to continue to develop your skills, to build your network, and connect you with opportunities to advance your career from the classroom to the boardroom. That's our mantra, and we plan to keep doing that work for as long as we can. So the Tech and Career Talk takes place second and fourth Friday of each month, 1 hour here live on our social media pages. We bring in different speakers speaking on different topics, all related to technology and or careers. Some are more tech and hard focused, like brain machine interaction, cybersecurity, AI. We got into some data things, cloud, other topics. Some are more on the softer side. We talked about emotional intelligence. We talked about updating your resume. We talked about literally how to work with jerks. So we give you quite the range of topics and conversations on this platform. So regardless of where you're at on that spectrum of technology careers, you can get some value from the conversation. So I'm glad to have you with us. Like I say, share this live right now. In the comments, let us know where you're joining from. We also know who's in the room with us. So let us know where you're joining from in the comments. If you have questions or thoughts throughout the conversation, drop them in the comments. I'll flash them on screen, and we'll make sure our speakers see them and can address them as we get throughout the conversation. So excited, looking forward to another great one. Again, we have our friends from Vanguard Consulting Group with us, so I'm going to bring on Mr. Kellye, founder CEO of Vanguard Consulting Group LLC, to kick off today's conversation. Kellye, how you doing, sir?
Man, doing fantastic. Great to be with you again. This is one of my favorite things of the quarter that I get to do with you guys, and so I'm excited about this conversation. And I always appreciate BDPA and the platform that you provide, and our friendship.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm going to get out of the way, and I'm going to let you take the show, Kellye.
All right, appreciate you. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are listening in from. Thank you for spending your lunch or your breakfast or your coffee hour with us. Today our theme is from vision to execution. We're building systems from an AI-driven future. We hear a lot about innovation, obviously. We're in the age of it. We hear a lot about artificial intelligence. We hear a lot about entrepreneurship, digital transformation, the future of work, and most of that conversation stops at the exciting part. The question that gets skipped is the harder one, often. What does it actually take to turn an idea into something that works and keeps working after you stop paying attention to it? Vision is the easy part, we think. I've never met a person without a vision, actually. I've met plenty of people without a system. And so we're excited about today. Today, we are meeting with Dr. Kellye Dionne. Kellye Dionne is the founder of Agility Intelligence and CEO of FingertipsPro AI. Her work spans from enterprise transformation, AI strategy, federal modernization, systems design, entrepreneurship, and leadership development. She helps leaders and organizations move from complexity to clarity and from vision to structure and execution. We're super excited to have her. Jump on, Kellye, and we're looking forward to this conversation. How are you today?
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you great. And we know you
I
are
cannot
in the
hear
mix.
you,
Oh, okay.
unfortunately. I'm not sure why. Cannot
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello, hello, hello. How about now? How's that?
So you guys can hear me, but I can't hear Akil.
We can hear you. Devin's saying, check your speaker settings and volume.
Yeah, I could hear Devin fine when he was speaking when Akil.
Looks like she dropped off, so we'll get her back in just a second. But
okay.
Maybe you can give us a little bit of an intro, Akil, while we wait.
Yeah, so I want to introduce Kellye and talk a little bit more about her. So I want you to listen to the list of what she has going on, because it's pretty amazing. I need you to appreciate what we're dealing with here. And what we're dealing with is agility intelligence, FingertipsPro AI, sacred strategist, tactic, agile build, the Eminence Institute, well-spoken, all of these things. Somewhere around the fourth trademark, I stopped reading the bio and started wondering whether I need to license just to say her name. Can you hear us, Kellye?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
great. Because I was just going down. I was taking a little bit of extra time while you got set up to talk about your kind of list of amazing things and all the things that you are involved in. So now that you're back on, I'm going to list them again just so that you can hear what I'm talking about. So I was just introducing to the folks who you are, the fact that we are so excited to having you here. And I went down some of the things: agility intelligence, FingertipsPro AI, sacred strategist, agile build, Eminence Institute, and it goes on and on. Well-spoken, and it goes on and on and on and on and on. And so we're excited to talk a lot about that kind of stuff. But somewhere around the fourth trademark, I stopped reading the bio and started wondering whether I need a license just to say your name, because that also might be trademarked. But let's not yet. Soon though, soon. I know we've had some cool talks about that. So so in getting to this conversation, we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. But in getting to this conversation, most people would start by asking you about AI, right? Because that's like the thing, right? But yes. I want to start somewhere else. I would like to start before any of this trademark stuff happened, before there was framework or platform or even a company. There was just you, right? And so I would love for you to kind of just take us back to before these things and who you were then and what you were doing and what was the problem that you were solving that said, you know what, I need to take this way further than it is right now.
Sure. Thank you for the question. So I've been working in technology for over 15 years, but I started out as an analyst. And as an analyst, I was there to problem solve, right? So you assess the situation, you come up with the problem to solve, and then you come up with solutions based on what the problems are and the constraints around it. I had an opportunity to be an analyst before I got into entrepreneurship, but kind of married them together in a sense. So I worked with some entrepreneurs that were training me as an analyst when I worked in corporate, right? And then as they trained me and I got an opportunity to spend a lot of time with them, it just kind of, got into my blood to say, you know what, I'm going to do this too. I stayed in corporate for a while. I did go into the quasi-government space as well, but I really had that thirst for entrepreneurship, and I wanted to solve bigger problems. because once you go through a couple rounds of being an analyst, which that's what I was, and I love it. I have a background in mathematics. I'm kind of a nerd. I love technology. So, it kind of just goes with how I am made up. This is what I do. So I was an analyst then, and I honestly think I'm still an analyst now.
It's in the blood. It's part of your makeup. So
Yeah.
was there a specific? I understand you were around people. You kind of got that entrepreneurial. You get bit with the entrepreneurial bug, right? And say, okay, this is the direction I think I want to go. Where did you realize that you couldn't keep solving problems one client at a time or one problem at a time, and it had to become more systematic? Like, that's kind of how I'm hearing the progression, right? I was doing the analytic work. You're an analyst, which, you were diving into these problems and helping to solve these problems. And then you started to see not only that you could do it in a different way on your own, but also that some of these problems are systematic, right? These aren't just individual problems.
So it was a pattern.
Tell me about that. Okay.
Yeah, I started to see the same type of issues in multiple organizations. And it really came down, and that's where agility intelligence comes from, being flexible, also understanding requirements. I teach business analysis and a lot of different courses like Agile and Lean Six Sigma and things like that. But at the end of the day, is understanding your stakeholders, understanding the problem to solve, and documenting those requirements. And what I find is people don't always know how to do that.
Right.
That was the biggest disconnect. And change is hard. So as a transformation consultant, I've gone in organizations and work with them to look at their infrastructure. I look at the people, their processes, and come up with recommendations. It is the same problem everywhere. So that's where the framework came from.
That's very cool. So going back and thinking about like kind of the origin story and how this had become who you are and what you're doing now, what was the first thing that you built that actually worked, right? And just as important, what was the first thing you built that flopped? Or this is always a process when we talk about, especially getting into entrepreneurship. But I'm just knowing that technology is a trial and error, situation. And so was there something that? Yeah, go ahead.
It's a learning. So you go through cycles, right? It's kind of like a cyclical thing. You kind of go through these cycles and you learn as you go through each cycle, right? I honestly, I have to go back when I talk about my failure. My failure really wasn't with a particular client. My failure was with my business and who my customer was. I started out, I don't know if anybody in the chat or on the live has been in a particular industry, and you kind of you like pigeonhole yourself into that one industry because you feel like, oh, I know this industry, I'm a subject matter expert. That's what I did. I started in employee benefits, so I was doing 401k, pension, healthcare, kind of HR benefits, compensation in that space. And I didn't want to do anything outside of that. If it wasn't in that area, I was like, no, because I like being the smart person, the person that was knowledgeable. But then as I went further on in my career, I realized same problems, doesn't matter the industry.
Right.
Had to mature a little bit, and so I was open to other industries. So my first failure was really not understanding who my customer was and really understanding the problem to solve. So it was when I decided, hey, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, it was really difficult to connect with customers because I had, like, my personas were so precise. It was too precise, I think. It was too small. But when I branched out, and the ironic thing is when I branched out, I went right back to getting clients that was in the field of my expertise. It was ironic, and that's where one of my greatest accomplishments was I was able to launch business agility in an organization that was very waterfall, and it was a great experience. I was able to document requirement, all the things that I love to do. I was able to coach. All the things that became a brand for me. I was able to
Right.
do in that engagement. So it was a really, really great opportunity.
So in that, you mentioned that it's, everything is about learning, right? And the learning experience, and then applying that learning experience. Was there anything in particular that was that kind of transition between what you described as kind of a failure or a moment that learning moment, and then to how what was the aha, I guess, between the two that transitioned you into that success, and that the part that you got to, and then circle back, right? It circled back, like you said, to the actual clients that you thought that you had failed the situation with, and now you're back with a different angle. Was there anything in between that, or for those who are listening, a lot of us hit a wall sometimes, and then but don't utilize that learning experience to go forward. Sometimes it stops people, sometimes it delays people, but there's a skill to actually recognizing and then utilizing that moment to learn and to apply it. Was there anything in particular that you could that shouts out to you that you remember that helped you make that transition?
I think the most profound thing I can recall is technology.
Okay.
I was more on the business side, and I was solving problems for the business. However, I was involved very, very much so on the edge with technology and the administration of these benefits and compensation and healthcare and all of those things for the employees. I got more into technology, honestly, and that once I got more into technology and started learning machine learning and natural learning, language processing, which is AI, all of those things helped me to be, I guess, industry agnostic. I could go to any industry and apply my framework, and it would be successful. So that's how I learned to scale. I could take on 3 or 4 clients at a time. And yeah.
Yeah. So we talk about learning, and we talk about, the transition from those learning moments to, to being more successful and applying these things. What did you have to unlearn from the kind of the institutional world before you could start building your own thing, right? What did you feel like you had to unlearn?
I had to unlearn a lot, actually. I can't narrow it down to one single thing. I would just say that I had to adopt the mindset of ever evolving, not being complacent, being the learner that we talked about. I'm always learning. No matter what level you go to, you're always learning. You have to be open to learning new skills, learning new technologies. It changes every single day. So open to learning and changing my mindset, because sometimes we set these goals and we accomplish a certain goal and we feel like we've arrived, right? It doesn't stop. I mean, it's ever evolving. So I think the mindset is the biggest thing that I would say that I had to learn or unlearn.
That's right. That's right. And I think that's a great point. If for those who are listening, that is, as I go through these conversations, I'm always like pulling takeaways, right? Like, what are the jewels of this conversation? And I would just say, for those of you who haven't written this down, write that down, because unlearning stagnation, and unlearning, feeling like you got to the top of the mountain and I'm good and I'm done is probably counter to what you need to be doing. Obviously, that constant evolving, that constant learning, Things are moving so fast. So I appreciate you saying that, because that absolutely is a need for people to know. Was there a point when you almost didn't do this, where you were like, well, maybe not? I know in entrepreneurship, we all kind of fight the urge, at different stages of our entrepreneurship to go get a job, so to speak, right? Like, okay, well, this is because entrepreneurship is not an easy thing to do, and
it's not for the faint.
It's not for the faint. It's not for those who don't like to work. It's not for those who want to be on a 9-to-5 time schedule. It's for it's really for the grinders out there, and those that are have the creativity and application of that creativity. So was there a point where you almost didn't do this, and then what follow up to that? Like, what kept you going?
I think I occasionally, because there's hills and valleys as an entrepreneur. And sometimes you can get very uncomfortable, right? You're just like, well, enough of this. I'm going to get a job.
Yes.
But I've been doing this for so long. Most of my career, I've been an entrepreneur. There has been moments, and I do mean small moments, where I have been an employee, but it's very few and far between. Right. But I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs. So I have that solid foundation, and I saw my family build such a strong foundation on far less than what I have. And right. I think that's what keeps me going. To, like, if they can do it, I can do it. I'm human. I have moments, but I dust it off pretty quickly.
Yeah. And, and sometimes we get knocked down, man. We really get, there are certain circumstances, certain things that happen that just, take the wind out of us. But there is a larger purpose. And when you're talking about, innovation and systemic changes and you're doing things that are, not only changing businesses and companies and how they operate, but those companies are changing lives. So it's, there's a much bigger mission. And I feel that, because as an entrepreneur myself, I've hit those moments. And that's why I asked that question, because I've hit those moments myself and been like, but I know there's a bigger reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. And for most of us out here, there's definitely, it's definitely part of it, right?
Yes, absolutely. I want to just share one thing. I told you guys I teach business analysis, and I have a 13-week business analysis career accelerator program. And I'm not saying that I'm like the best teacher in the world, but I'm very, very gifted. Let me tell you guys, we just finished up the last week. We're on the last week of the cohort, right?
Okay.
And they're doing their presentations. They literally brought me to tears. They did such an excellent job, and it makes it all worth everything that I am teaching them, because one of the biggest gaps that I see in corporations and all these different organizations that I work with is that business analysis is always a gap. They don't have the skill set. And even the people with the title don't have the skill set. So for me to be able to have the opportunity to have just a regular common person that came from customer service or came from a different field, I have, all these different fields, but they have transferable skills. And to see them 13 weeks later, I literally had to turn my camera off and shed a few tears. It was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. And they have the skills to get these jobs now. And that's what makes it all worth it for me.
That's it. That's it right there. And that's definitely where you make a huge impact on the workforce development side of the world, right? You're not only bringing, what you just said in just the last couple moments about the fact that you've taken folks and have them, and where they are recognizing that they have, and you're recognizing that they have these transferable skills, no matter what industry, what area they came from. You're teaching them the technology, And now they are going to change their own family's lives and trajectory of the family, because now they are able to go into those jobs and do these things and make this happen. This is a perfect segue actually into the next segment here. And you know, the next segment is about vision to strategy to systems, right? And so you've worked with federal agencies, entrepreneurs, and everything in between. What's the real difference between a great idea and a viable strategy?
I would say structure. Everybody has ideas. We get ideas every day, whether we move on them or not. And I don't know if you guys are like me. We get these, I call them, you know, my name is Sacred Strategist. I get these sacred downloads. I feel like you get these ideas and they're sort of gifts, if you will. They're gifts. And it's up to you to do something with that idea, because we all get them. Have you guys ever had an idea and you slept on yourself, and then somebody else got that same idea and they didn't sleep on it? They took that vision, executed on it, and then it's a real thing now, and you kick yourself like, dang it, I should have did it. Yeah. So I think structure, you get this idea, and sometimes you get ideas and it is a matter of timing. Just because that seed is planted and you know it starts to sprout, and it may take a while to grow into something, it doesn't matter. Act on that idea.
For those of us who are so having those ideas, I think that is the thing, and then having the action. And you said the difference is incorporating some kind of structure. Yes. So how early can you tell? And is there a question you ask that kind of gives it away, as far as like, okay, this is a great idea. I think this is a great idea. It has, we can create a viable strategy. But is there a question that someone should ask themselves as they get the idea, before they go into diving in for, viable strategy and adding structure on that? Is there a question that they should ask themselves before going that far?
Is somebody else doing it?
Okay. All right,
yes,
good.
You have to do your due diligence. Is somebody else doing it?
Okay, that's fair. So looking at one of your other kind of lines here with the Tracix, right? And am I pronouncing that right? Is it Tracix?
That's correct. It's Tracix.
Okay. Tracix. So Tracix focuses on traceability, obviously, goes in the name. Workflow, governance, and data-driven insight. Why is knowing what happened, why it happened, and how the pieces connect to a performance issue, not just a compliance issue? So, a lot of us work on these, on what we see are these problems, and we think that we're addressing them as performance issues, but really all we're doing is just making sure that we're compliant. Where's the difference, and how should people approach those two distinctly different ideas, performance versus compliance?
I think data is the key, right? You have to understand the data that you have in front of you. Is it a performance issue? Is it related to compliance, right? It's really important to understand data at the end of the day, and that's what the traceability is about. I go right back to the rudimentary things that I teach in business analysis. Is you have to understand the problem you're trying to solve. So the big difference is, if it is a compliance issue, you would look at those regulatory constraints, and you would look at the data related to that. If it's a performance issue, you would look at maybe the experience over time and evaluate it that way.
That makes sense. Is there a point where a leader, and you're a leader, and I consider myself a leader, and there's leaders that are listening to this. Is there a point where a leader needs to stop developing the vision and start building the system around it? And how do you know when you've hit that point? Sometimes we just think and we're creatively imagining and we're putting these this kind of this vision together, and wherever you get it, like you said, sometimes it's a divine download, it's a whatever the inspiration, wherever the inspiration comes. And a lot of us will continue down that path for a long way before we actually put some structure and actually systematically start getting it going. Is there a point where you can hit it and say, okay, I've gotten far enough on this idea that now it's time to go ahead and start doing some structural?
I would limit my ideas or my ideation process quite a bit. Like, I think you should start with an idea, and you should really decompose that idea to understand, again, the problems that you're trying to solve with that idea, understanding who your stakeholders are, your audience. And then I think you should very quickly start to bring structure to it. I'm going to say this. People always say you got to have a plan. And when I say structure, that's what I mean. However, just because you make a plan does not mean that plan will not change, because it 100% will change.
That's right.
But you have to start with that structure, because that is how most businesses fail, because they don't have structure.
Makes sense. That's great advice. Great advice. So last question on this segment, and I want to, how do you build a system that doesn't collapse the moment the founder steps out of the room, right? So for context, I work with an organization that the founder and executive director of the organization is so key, that his pain point and the frustration is things only get done if I'm in the room, or things only get done when I give that direction. And as an organization grows, that person is in meetings. This person is growing the organization around the country, around the world. And so it can't be in the room. You need a team to actually be moving independently of you, right? So how do you build a system? How does that systematically happen where, things don't collapse the moment that the founder or the executive walks out of the room?
My answer would be business agility.
Okay.
Yeah, that person is the visionary, and to me, that is the product owner. For those that know about business agility, that would be the product owner. And just because they are busy and they're not in the room, you still have their vision, right? But you will still, that team will build towards that vision, but they will incorporate their ideas. They will check in with them when they could on some type of frequency, say, hello, this is what we're doing. Is this still the vision? Has it changed? Because we learn new information over time. And again, our plans will change, and even our visions will change. My vision as an entrepreneur has changed many, many, many times.
Right.
So I think a leader, a visionary leader that stepped away from, moving the baton towards completion is not a setup for failure. It's just how do you strategically keep that person engaged over time?
And that agility, that business agility piece, and I think that is definitely something to go deeper into. But before we last in this question, is there something messaging wise that leader should give to his team in that process of business agility that either empowers them, motivates them, or gets them to where they understand that they are a stakeholder and that they are, there's some responsibility or accountability for them to move the ball forward, the baton forward, as you mentioned, while I'm not in the room? Because I'd like to be at step 1 or 2 and then come back into the room and you guys are at step 5, right?
Exactly.
Like, let's,
exactly.
keeping
And that's the
thing
key.
going.
The vision is so important, but so are the outcomes. What are you expecting to get out of this? So once you build that team around the vision and the outcomes, they become passionate. They're like proxy product owners also.
There you go.
So, yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so transitioning a little bit more into AI here. You work in AI strategy every day, obviously.
I do.
And what do you think people misunderstood most about AI right now? Or what do you think the thing is that people misunderstand the most about AI right now, including the people who think they've got it figured out? What are they missing?
I'll start with just generally speaking, what people misconceive about AI.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, they think AI is new. That's the first thing.
That's a mic drop.
I started working in AI almost a decade ago.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is they think AI can substitute for intelligence, human intelligence, and it does not. AI is a tool for smart people.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a tool for not so smart people, but it's a tool for people that use it strategically.
Mm-hmm.
And people that think they've mastered it, I would probably say, I've seen some amazing things that people do with AI, and I mean it's just a diversity of things that people can do with AI.
Mm-hmm.
But I think people that think they have mastered it, like I said, I am a learner. I am a lifelong learner, and I never take the disposition of I've arrived, that I know all. I am a student of technology. I'm a student of artificial intelligence. So that being said, people that feel like they've mastered it, I think that that is a misconception because you may have mastered that sector of AI. There's many, many sectors, components of AI.
Right.
And you can master it. And I do really well in certain sectors and maybe not so well in others. So that
makes sense. That makes sense. So there's thousands of tools, and you mentioned a few of them. How should a professional or business tell the difference between technology that solves a real problem and something that's just new and interesting? So as they, you talk about all these sectors and all these tools and all these, it being a tool. Is there just a couple little tidbits that you can give to a professional or a business that is, that's really a technology tool that they should be, maybe diving into, or is it just something that's new and cool and that's a flashing light that, that they shouldn't maybe spend so much time on, that they should actually be flowing into the tools itself? Are there any particular tools that you would recommend?
I would not recommend any tools.
Okay.
Which is an interesting thing. I do have my own favorite tools. This is what I would recommend people do. I recommend that you assess your business need and do sort of a needs analysis. What do you need technology to solve for? What are those requirements? I told you everything for me goes back to requirements. So what are those technical requirements that you need this particular tool to solve for? Based on that, start evaluating tools. I don't care what's the most popular. I don't use the most popular tools. I use the tools that help me do what I'm trying to accomplish. And that's what I would recommend. Even when you're building a team, and I know you didn't ask me this, but I'm gonna throw it in here anyways.
No, go ahead.
One of the things that people do when they build teams, they want to hire or bring people on board that they like. No, you look at your capabilities, you look at the capabilities that you need for your business, and you hire people that fill in those gaps. It's the same thing for technology.
Okay. That makes great sense. That makes great sense. And is a great actual segue into my next question, because, there are, there's a fear also of AI, right? And the fact that it's going to, you said earlier, AI is not going to replace into human intelligence. It's not going to replace the human.
Take over the world.
And yeah. And so where does the human stay in the loop permanently as a design decision rather than a transition step? Like, so how do we make sure, and how do folks, kind of really take on the belief that, look, you can't, AI is not going to replace you. And there's a saying that says, AI is not going to replace you. The people that know how to use AI are going to replace you, right?
Absolutely.
But we're still talking about those being humans and those still being people. So
exactly.
tell me what are your thoughts on that?
So that is a very true statement. Like, it goes back to what I said at the beginning, that AI is a tool and you have to use it strategically. Um, you have to make sure that you understand that it is a tool for efficiency, for doing things quicker, smarter, maybe to do research, due diligence. I use AI for so many different things, and I work in corporate right now as a consultant, and we use AI every day. Everybody uses AI every day. So is everybody using it to its fullest capacity? Are they using it for the right things? Probably not. But again, I would be cognitive of what my own skills are and where my skills are lacking. I would tap into AI to help me with those skills. Should you stop learning and lean on artificial intelligence? Absolutely not. But as you're learning, from an efficiency standpoint, from an ideation standpoint, it's great to use those type of tools. And I would highly encourage people not to be fearful of that. Like, just like technology came in and changed the lay of the land for how we work. Um, that's all AI is doing. And I'm pretty sure that people felt the same way during the technology or information age. It was,
Sure.
oh, technology is taking over. We're not going to have any jobs yet. No, the jobs just evolve. I talked about evolving.
That's right.
It's just another level of evolution. That's it.
Is there, or what's the most impressive real kind of AI implementation that you've seen? And that could be, from your different, from federal stuff to local to even, the kind of the mom and pops. Have you seen something where there was a implementation of AI that you were like, wow, that was amazing, or I didn't think of that myself, kind of thing?
I have not. It's interesting though. Um, I feel like my students have some really, really interesting ideas in how they're utilizing AI.
Mm,
And I just hope they move forward after they move on from, my class. I hope they move forward with their ideas. I've heard things like, one of the guys was building an application, and I don't want to say too much because it could be proprietary. But he had this great idea about everybody. Well, I'm traveling, and he likes to travel. So he said one of the things that is really hard is depending on the app that you have for your, whichever airline that you're flying or whatever, you're going to a different airport that you've probably never been to and you're not familiar with it. Navigating the actual airport itself,
yeah.
building
Yeah.
those maps into an app. I don't want to go too much into it, but I thought I was
Right.
like, ooh, I would get that app, you know.
Yeah.
And there was another one. This guy in my class was talking about, and I hope they're not watching. um, he was going to, well, he is building an app for, I don't know if you guys have maybe been on a diet before, people wanting to lose
Mm-hmm.
weight and stuff, and you have to do like log your meals.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Sometimes with busy people that work a lot, that could be a lot, logging everything. You got to find the food that you ate and look for the right quantity and da 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 da
Yeah.
da. He wants to use AI to take a picture of what I ate and and you just confirm that. I was like, I would buy that app. Like they have
Yeah.
some really, really great ideas.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, and I've actually personally used. I started getting into crystals in my spiritual journey, and I am completely ignorant about crystals.
Hmm.
So I use AI to teach me about crystals. So you know,
That's very cool. Those are dope. Those are dope applications, and I hope that your students just go crazy with it
me
and
too.
do amazing
I'd be
things.
like a proud mama.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
So you and I work together on AI workforce and
Yes.
AI workforce stuff, right? And AI workforce readiness specifically for young people and career starters, right? Who don't come from a technical background at all. And I think
Mhm.
that you talked a little bit about some of the people in your courses that don't come from technical backgrounds, right? Which is very cool. So what does it actually take to build real AI capability in someone who's never ever touched tech or been in a tech job?
Foundations. I think having an understanding of what AI is, I think that's the biggest misconception.
Mhm.
Um, we have built a baseline of knowledge so people can understand what the heck is AI, not what somebody perceives it to be. What is it? What can
Mhm.
you do with it? How should you use it? What type of models apply when you're trying to accomplish X, Y, and Z? Because you won't use, I'll just say, Chat GPT for the same
Mhm.
thing you would use for Claude,
Right.
right? They serve different functions. So that is having that baseline of knowledge is what I think readiness looks like. And
Very
then
cool.
being responsible with AI. We're not teaching people to go in AI and be fraudulent or, uh, you know, deviate from norms and things like that. We
Mhm.
are teaching them to use AI with integrity, essentially.
With your students that are brand new to it, I think just period with students that are new to something, sometimes they're easier to grasp it because they don't have the kind of the baggage, so to speak, that they're bringing into it, right? And so,
Yep.
was there what is there has there been anything that surprised you about what they picked up quickly and what they didn't pick up quickly? Is there were there any surprises where you're like, oh my gosh? And it does that has that to do with individual aptitude or kind of just a general thing that you see folks picking up portions of it
Now,
quicker than others?
I think you just, I just had a light bulb moment actually based on that question because
I
I
love those.
teach business analysis to people that are career changers,
Okay.
transitioning,
Mhm.
college graduates, people that are trying to level up in their careers. Those are the type of people or veterans that are transitioning. Um, I have the most struggle with teaching concepts to people that are already been working in technology
Mm,
because they think
interesting.
they know when they don't know.
Hmm.
And that whole thing of unlearning, because sometimes you can learn to do something the wrong way and you get stuck. And I feel like it's easier for me to teach foundational business analysis to people that are new
Mm.
as opposed to people that work in the field. They're kind of just going through the motions and they just, I've been working in project management, but I have no idea how to, do business analysis type work. I don't know how to elicit requirements. Give me a
Hmm.
BA. Like they think that's beneath them type of thing.
Right.
So
Right. That's interesting. Um, so BDPA is a Black tech organization, and for this audience specifically, and everybody that friends and allies and the such, Black technologists, career changers, students, people building in rooms where they're often the only one. What's your honest read on where the access and opportunity is in this kind of this cycle of AI and cycle of the technology that we're currently living in?
This is what employers are looking for. They're looking for confidence. They're looking for know-how. So it's one thing to have theoretical knowledge. There's another thing to have academic knowledge. You can even go get a certification, but
Yeah.
it's the application of that knowledge to solve problems is the key, and that is what employers are looking for. And that is really why I built Eminence Institute. I have several programs. We have a cyber ready program that is headed up by Lawrence Williams. He is a CISO in Atlanta for a major organization. And he's basically saying, okay, he's breaking it down for you just like I break it down for business analysis. These are the components, because I'm completely ignorant, not going to lie, about cybersecurity. I have a one-track mind when I think about cybersecurity, so I got a lot to learn. But there's different components, there's different pathways from a career standpoint in cybersecurity, and that is what he teaches in this program. And then you go get a certification once you know what path you're taking, because you would take a different path depending on what career path within the cybersecurity sector you choose, right? So that being said, that program is developed around that so that you can have a pathway of how do I get from the point that I am today to actually interviewing with the organization for entry level cyber role. And then we did the same thing for the BA program, and then we have an entrepreneur program.
It's fantastic. So that's great advice. As we kind of transition into the last segment of our discussion here, and that is kind of the building part, right? Ventures, leadership, and what comes next. You build across AI, strategy, leadership, education, technology, the list goes on. What have you learned about building from the ground up that you wish somebody had told you from the beginning? A lot of what we do in the work that we do, especially, as we work to grow other people, is to give them what we wish somebody would have told us or would have shared with us, right? So I'm always interested in are there anything at this stage in your career that if you were to talk to yourself a few years ago, is there anything that you would tell yourself to do differently, or to pay attention to, or to train up?
I would do things different, because I'm going to tell you what I've done that hasn't benefited me well. I've done it well at times, but there have been times where I get complacent. I don't, I get comfortable and I don't think about growth. I get this great contract, I'm doing all the things and I'm focused on that. You have to ever be learning and ever building your business. And it's not easy to do that. So if I was to tell myself a different version of myself, I would say have a true entrepreneur circle. It's important to have a circle of people that you can network with, so that we talked about the hills and valleys in entrepreneurship. Having those people, and it's not easy. What I'm saying is not easy to do, but it's very important. It's very important to have that network of people that you guys can be in it together.
Yeah, that's great. That's great advice. I tell the youth that we work with, I tell even colleagues or even younger colleagues, sometimes same age as me, but just the importance of that network, right? And to intentionally network, be in those places, go to those events, be,
Yes.
you know, and connect with people. Don't sit and be a wallflower and just observe, but actually get involved. And you'd be surprised that that one person that you met today turns out to be an asset or a partner 5 years later, 10 years
Yep.
later. You know, you and I met 2-3 years ago, and we're just getting a chance to do some stuff now. So it's building those relationships, it's building those connections, and then nurturing them so that when opportunity comes, you said timing earlier also,
Yep,
which is very important.
absolutely.
But when that
Yep.
opportunity comes, you are already in the mix with that person and with that organization or those group of people. So
It's still going, I think. I think we lost the kill.
I think we had some technical issues here. We will give our speakers a moment to get back as we get ready to conclude today's talk. It's been a great discussion. He froze up in the middle of it. It was getting good. If you do have any thoughts or comments from anything that's been discussed today, please share those in the comments. I can make sure those get flashed up right here before we close. But thank you for your attention. We have Akil back in here as well.
yeah,
There we go.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, that's a beautiful thing about technology, right? It works when it works, and when the Wi-Fi doesn't work, so somebody's got to fix that part. So sorry about that. But what we were talking about as we close out was just that the importance of making those connections and that intentional building of your networks. And you said, you know, if you were to tell yourself, you know, give yourself some advice a few years ago, it would be to get into those groups and make those connections and build that network in order so that when the timing is right, I think that's what was left before we got disconnected.
Yes.
When the timing is right, you're already lined up and you're already ready to roll. So I think that's huge. What are you building next? When can the audience see it, and what's coming up? And I want to make sure that we are not we do not miss the opportunity to tell people about the Eminence Institute, the projects that you're working on independently as an entrepreneur, and all the things that you offer. So this is a perfect time segue for you to tell us about all of those things and how can people get in touch with you and you know, what's to come.
All right, thank you, Akil. So we have Cyber Ready that is available now. Tier 1, it is a self-paced course. So you can go at your own pace. You can join that going through eminenceinstitute.mn.co. And we also have the Analyst Career Accelerator as well, and that is self-paced. Got a lot going on. My focus right now is Job Corps. So we're doing an AI series with them. So that's why I'm not teaching for this next cohort. I will start teaching again in January. And we will have instructor-led for Cyber Ready and also for the Analyst Career Accelerator. In September, I have 3 SAFE courses that is scaled agile. So if you're interested in getting certifications in scaled agile, those are really, really great certifications to get, especially if you are in transformation, organizational change, DevSecOps, things like that. If you go to FingertipsPro AI on LinkedIn, you can see some of those classes in September that are scheduled. And I think that's that's pretty much it. I have other stuff, of course, up my sleeve, but I'm not sharing that out.
Okay.
Please connect with me on LinkedIn, Dr. Kellye Dionne, and I'll be happy to connect with you and share some of the things that are going on. I do mentor too, for those that may be interested in just, bounce some ideas off of me. And please connect with Eminence if you just want to upskill in general, technology, business acumen, just connect.
Fantastic. And that's for individuals, that's for businesses, that's for organizations, the whole gamut. Kellye is impactful and really an expert at this space. And we use the word expert lightly, just because she told us already that it's a continuous learning experience and a
Yes.
lifelong learning experience. So we play with the word expert, but we're becoming better and better all the time. And so I really, really appreciate you being here and being on this platform. We love BDPA. If those of you who are not familiar with BDPA, please get involved with BDPA. And just kind of as what we're doing, Vanguard is here as well, and we are currently, actually, Kellye and I both are attending the SETA 2026 Fall Conference, and talking about AI in the space of workforce. And so if you're in Louisville, Kentucky, come on and join us at the Omni for the next couple days. We'd love to see you, but definitely join BDPA, join SETA, get involved, go to Eminence Institute, go to Dr. Kellye Dionne on LinkedIn, and get involved, get in contact with us. There's some really, really great and impactful work being done, and we can definitely support your organizations as you go through this technological transition that's happening, and that you have there's no stopping it. So better get on to it and get it going. So thank you, Devin, for having us.
Thank you, Devin. I appreciate it. This is great.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us. And just wanted to flash up Kellye's name on LinkedIn. So if you look up Kellye Dionne, PhD, you will find her on LinkedIn, and you can tap
Perfect.
in and stay connected with her beyond this conversation. So thank you both for a great conversation today. I think if I didn't take anything else away, I think I heard the importance of staying grounded on the requirement. I think sometimes we start with solutions, but you got to take it back to the beginning and realize what is it that we're trying to solve here, and then the solutions will come together. So making sure we follow the right steps to get to those, having the right systems and things in place. So thank you for sharing that with us, Dr. Dionne. Akil, always a pleasure having you with us as well. So as we get ready to wrap up today, again, hey, visit bdpa.org so you can become a member, learn more about the organization, see what chapters are in your areas, and see what else we have coming up down the pipeline. Make sure you connect with both Akil and Kellye on LinkedIn so you can stay connected with what they're doing and the great work Vanguard Consulting Group is doing, FingertipsPro, and everything that Kellye has going on. And share this conversation with somebody. You've heard it now. So no excuse. You find 10 people, hit that share button, send it to them right now. Just DM them. Boom, do it. Done. Cool. You did your part. So thank you. Glad to have you with us. We'll be back in, I believe, 2 weeks for our next Tech and Career Talk. It's going to be a great one. But until then, stay safe, stay blessed, and we'll see you soon.